Alright, as it turns out, I've got quite a lot of room on the battery still, so I think I'm going to get another 15 minutes of rant on about Islamophobia, because it's like really fashionable in this country at the moment. We had the EDL for a while, really trying to whip things up. You know, personally I think Tommy Robinson was, you know, seemed like quite a reasonable fellow actually, and you know, his it was just very misguided, you know, and this is the case with a lot of people, and this is what is really being capitalised upon by the ruling classes now, that even kind of nice, reasonable people who I don't believe are actually racist, you know, they quite, you know, because you have people that support BNP, National Front, they're probably racists, you know. Those organisations stem from a time when it was all based on, you know, skin colour and the way you smelt because of the food you ate and different, just being different, you know. But now, because people are a bit more well aware, and obviously with Britain's so multicultural, they need a new way to create division, and they're going down this religious route. And of course, it's always been a bit dodgy to like criticise people's religion, so they're going down the terrorist route, and we've even got a new word for it, Islamist. That wasn't a word when I grew up. That was like, I don't know, I think Tommy Robinson invented that word, didn't he? And now it's like common language of even like the BBC News and whatever, you know, and you see the President of America saying it and shit like that. I don't know, maybe it was a word. But anyway, but it's kind of, they're going down an avenue that's really kind of like clever and tricky, because that is a bad thing, you know, when people do acts of terrorism, and they say it's in the name of religion. That is a terrible, terrible thing, and that is, people are rightfully frightened of that. You know, aside from the fact that I believe most of these acts of terrorism are subterfuge, you know, they're actually literally designed and executed by these ruling classes. It's just like some kind of TV production or something like that, you know, because you wouldn't believe it, you know, the lengths that they would go to. You know, if like me, again, you've got your, I would say, confirmed suspicions about events like 9/11, then you can pretty much believe anything, and I will go on and, you know, I'll go on record as saying even I don't really believe, I've said I don't really believe that ISIS is a real organisation that are really doing, you know, things to suit the Islamic agenda. I think that they're, you know, a kind of false thing that has been designed by the powers that be, just and filmed, and it's like a TV production, as I say. And I'll even go back and say I've got strong suspicions about like what happened to Lee Rigby, and I think all these things are all tied up. I think those guys that killed Lee Rigby, I think they were like what you call sleeper cells. If you watch a film called the Manchurian Candidate, you would understand what I mean. But you know, it's a wacky theory, and you know, I have little or no evidence. It's just the way that things kind of add up in my mind, and it's just something that I think, and you know, and I think it relates to you know, they have a decapitation then, and people get really angry, and people start to hate Muslims, and a year later they have another decapitation, you know, which is this woman in somewhere in London, and it kind of just sparks it off in people's heads again. And then ISIS come out with a load of decapitations, and this is on the back of us being warned about the dangers of all these, you know, young British people going abroad and being radicalised, and then now suddenly these British people are actually cutting people's heads off and filming it, and it's just too convenient for me, you know. It just, I don't think it's real, you know. Anyway, I am speculating wildly. I got to admit that I'm speculating wildly, so you know, take what I say with a pinch of salt as well. I think really is the way you have to you have to react to this, but consider it though, you know. Don't just believe what you read in the newspapers. And so what's the point? Yeah, so I think it's all part of a thing, and we're very much being designed, because the name of the game is division, right? The aim of it all is division, to keep everybody separate, so we don't realise that, you know, we're all one entity, and to serve the entity as a whole is even greater thing than serving yourself as an individual. And if we were to follow that path, then we'd be able to like make this world such a better place. And you know, that is basically what they don't want us to realise. They want us to keep being motivated by consumerism and materialism and our own selfish desires, and they're doing a good job, because even me now, these are just words. Am I living by these principles? Really? The answer is no, I think. So they're doing a great job at it. But if more and more people are talking about this, and more people are realising this, and you know, that increases our chances of actually making a difference. The possibility of things changing are actually like is getting so big, man. The possibility is raising so much, and it's beautiful. We're full of beautiful potential in this world at the moment. There's such a fantastic potential for true change and true improvement. And this is why things are getting desperate, and why they're starting to just act in such a blatantly obvious way, and doing all these stupid things, like, you know, making these ISIS movies and all that. And I don't know, I just think you've got to be stupid to believe it all, really. But sorry, that's harsh, because like, why wouldn't you believe it when it's in the newspaper and on the television? Why wouldn't you believe it? Because you're raised to believe that these things are real. You know, but anyway, I've got to get to the main point of why Islam is being victimised, specifically Islam, because obviously, as I've just established, my belief is it's all about division and keeping everyone separate. But yeah, the reason Islam itself is like the number one thing, the main bad guy, you know, I think it's based on the nature of Islam. Now, I lived in a country with the largest Islamic population in the world. I lived there for over a year, and I know probably a lot more Muslims than most people in Britain do. Yeah, and I know totally that everything we're hearing about, you know, Muslims, about the Quran instructing them to kill infidels and all this, and I own a copy of the Quran that was given to me by a Muslim friend, you know, and I haven't read it all because I just find books like that boring and dogmatic, and I don't need that. But it doesn't say that in it, you know, and it doesn't condone abusing women or anything like that. It doesn't condone having sex with children or anything like that. And you know, people have got funny customs and habits in different parts of the world, and that is a cultural thing to that area of the world, and that is not an Islamic thing, you know. So it does happen, you know, people do marry 9-year-old girls, and the historical account would tell us that the Prophet Muhammad himself did that, and that is, you know, not, you know, that's kind of a bit off-putting to people like us that have been raised in the West. But, you know, that was how they lived at that time in that place, you know. And circumcision of girls is something that they've been doing in Africa for tribal reasons, for bullshit reasons, for horrible reasons. It should be stopped. These things should be stopped, but they need to be stopped through education, yeah, not through airstriking. Oh, by the way, yeah, airstriking, we're actually at war in Syria now. You know, we are at war in Syria. We're bombing them, but it's been slipped through in the media. This is the upshot of the whole ISIS affair. It's been sneaked in through the back door, and now we're at war in Syria, and you know, we're doing exactly what we've been trying to do for like over a year now, probably something like 2 years it's been on the agenda, ever since we started seeing the first videos of the victims of Assad's, you know, gassing and all that, which, like, again, I think is probably not true. But anyway, yeah, we're at war, we're in Syria, so there we go, there's another war for the list, for the another conquest for the Great British Empire, and yet another country without a central bank has been knocked out and will be installed, which is the right word. Anyway, yeah, so it was Islam. I've got to explain this, man. I always get sidetracked. The thing about Islam as a religion is it is really about love and tolerance. Now, when I lived in the country with the largest Islamic population in the world, they are moderate people, and they are, like, you know, not the same as the people in the Middle East and all that. So again, it's kind of cultural reasons are more important than you know, actual religious reasons. But I will tell you that those people were incredibly tolerant of any other religion. The majority of those people, the ones that I met anyway, there's like 300 and almost 400 million people in that country, so I can't speak for all of them, and certainly a lot of them were cunts, and they do have far-right Islamic groups over there that do cause problems for, you know, other religions and that. It does exist. They've got loads of conflict in that country, in fact. They've historically have had loads of conflict in that country, so, you know, nowhere's perfect. But the point I'm making is that, you know, the tolerance towards other religions, the tolerance towards homosexuals even, would you believe it, even though that is haram in Islamic law, but most of them don't really mind, you know, they just take people as people and let them live how they want to live, and that is what Islam has taught them, I promise you. You know, it is the religion of peace, and just because there's some fucking crazy terrorists, you know, that, you know, want to kill people to fight for it, well, you know, just remember, you know, the IRA, you know, do we say Catholicism is an evil religion? Yeah. Remember the British Crusades. I mean, this is the really ironic thing, is that the Crusades, the Christian Crusades, of whenever, I don't know when it was, 11th century or something, was it? I don't know. That was like mass scale terrorism and genocide in the name of Christianity, and so you can't really criticise what's happening in Islam now, in the Islamic world now. Well, you can criticise it, but you've got to put it in perspective. Yeah, so anyway, the thing is about Islam, this is the thing, I've got to say it, the battery's almost gone. The thing about Islam is that if more and more of the world turn to Islam, which they are, if you look at, you know, numbers, then, you know, it is in danger of, or impossibility of, you know, becoming the prevalent religion in the world one day, if we project things, you know. And what that would mean for the world is that people actually believed in God and actually lived their life according to the principles of God, and whereas, as opposed to these like Christian Judeo religions where people can basically do whatever they want and just still carry on saying, oh yeah, you know, I believe in God, I go to church, but I live however I want and I do whatever I want and I make money, and then whoever gets marginalised as a result of that, fuck them, it's their problem, every man for himself. And obviously the financial system and the credit system is, you know, the main tool in that kind of ethos, and that would actually be illegal under Islam, because usury, the application of interest, is also haram. And, you know, that was a forbidden thing in all religions, but the Jews and the Christians have managed to, like, push that to one side and be like, yeah, well, forget that part. You know, we'll build entire societies on this and control the world in this manner. So, yeah, if more people turn to Islam, the financial system in the way it exists now would collapse, and the selfishness and the way that people live, I don't know, everything would change basically. And that's why Islam is such a frightening ideology, basically the same as communism was, okay, and that is why they're fighting against it. That's it, time's up, see you soon.